Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for checking out this video here on Shows, Style, and Spirit. I am Ebony, and I want to give my commentary on Carlos King's most recent Monday Night Live show. In the beginning of it, he actually spoke with Kimmy from Love and Marriage Huntsville, asking her opinion on the biggest storyline from the shortest season of Belle Collective, which was Glen being in the DMs of another woman, and lo and behold, he is still a married man. Well, Carlos asked Kimmy a very specific question. Did she think that Latrice should have given that information to LaTeshia once she found out about it? And Kimmy's reaction shocked me because it is certainly not a walk that she did when she had the opportunity. Now, before we get into what Kimmy had to say, I ask that you please hit the like button on this video, as well as subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. And everything that I'm saying in this video is alleged and just my opinion. And the Copyright Act of 1976 says that my fair use commentary on this soundbite, it is allowed. So let's go ahead and listen to what Kimmy had to say.
Thing when it comes to your husband, that's your husband. And it became this big conversation about girl code. I want to ask you, Kimmy, again, as a married woman and as a reality star, do you think Latrice broke the girl code by not telling LaTeshia that I was told your husband is in this woman's DM?
When it first happened, I thought that the relationship between LaTeshia and Latrice was a little closer than what it actually played out during the rest of the season. So initially, my answer was yes, that would have been the short version. However, as I watched the season play out, I didn't really get the impression that they were as close as maybe I thought that they were over time. And once again, to be honest, I agree with Marie. Like, I would have been like, look, bro, like, I've seen the text, I've seen this is what you said. You better tell her before I tell her. And I thought that was a very good response. If you legitimately feel like you're caught in the middle, but based on all the years that I've watched, and I've not really seen the hairdresser pop up before like that, I thought that they were closer to where she would have told. So yes, I thought she would have told when she found that out.
And what we saw at the reunion was Glen felt that the DMs was not as controversial as he said Amanda felt it was. LaTeshia felt the same way too, that look, she thought they both were wrong, Glen and Latrice, but she also felt that the DMs was not this smoking gun that she thought it was going to be, and she was highly upset that Latrice, she felt, laughed at her pain, and Latrice felt, you are giving me all this smoke, and you should be giving it towards your husband. Dustin, what did you think about that exchange between Glen?
Okay, so during that questioning, when he circles back around to Kimmy, Kimmy is going to say that, she doesn't think that a married man should be in anyone's DM. She said that Glen was wrong. She didn't care if the woman, Amanda, DM'd him first or if it was just platonic. According to him, she said a married man should not do that. And I just want to say it is so interesting. It seems like all men except Martell, when it comes to Kimmy, are held to very respectful, reasonable standards as married men. But when it comes to that Negro, Marty Marr, he's a good guy. And there's all sort of excuses thrown his way. I just do not understand why Martell gets such a pass in the eyes of Kimmy. But circling back to what Carlos asked her, and it's so interesting because it's like, Carlos, I know he knows what he's doing. He has to know what he's doing because out of all the women that star on all of his shows, why would he bring on Kimmy to ask her about something from Belle Collective? That is just so interesting to me. He didn't bring on Trisha. He didn't bring on Tisha. He didn't bring on Destiny. He didn't bring on Wanda. He brought on Kimmy because he knows that when it comes to Martell, Kimmy was super, super soft about his ill behavior, in my opinion, Martell. And that's an opinion. And she totally, and as I'm listening, because I had to rewind his live because I went and got a pedicure and I got waxed and then I went to the gym and then I started watching his live. So I'm watching it and I'm like, he's setting a trap. And then she starts talking. I'm like, and she just fell in the trap. Okay. She didn't even try to like grab the walls and walk around it or anything. But she said, I thought that Latrice and LaTeshia were closer than that Latrice would have told her. Even Latrice's friendship with the girl Amanda, we never really saw her over all these years of the show. Wow. So Kimmy gave a very detailed, very specific response. She even drew off of historical data when she thought back on all of the seasons of Belle Collective, and she knew that she hadn't seen Amanda a lot. She hadn't seen Latrice speak so very fondly of Amanda over the years. Why didn't she give LaTeshia that information as soon as she thought about it? Wow, Kimmy, have you ever heard of the term life application? I'm sure you have because I've heard you mention the words God and Jesus. So I'm sure you've been at a worship service where somebody talked about a life application. It might have been that guy or the woman dressed in a robe who sat, in the biggest chair in the pulpit behind the podium. They may have used the terms life application before. Why didn't you apply that to your friendship with Melody? I don't understand. Why couldn't you pull her to the side and let her know, at least even if you're saying, this is just a rumor, this is just what I've heard. I personally, individually don't have any proof of it, but hear what the streets are saying. Have you heard of this? Are you okay? And then subsequently, once she left his raggedy behind, why always coddle him? Y'all know if you've watched any of my videos, you know that I'm so anti coddling men because I feel like they never change. There's always excuses made for the man, and there's always wanting to condemn and hold the woman to perfection, basically. And, I feel like this applies to Kimmy as well. Now, I do want to say, while I cannot prove it, perhaps Claudia Jordan had something prior in the beginning of the Monday Night Live show, because as you can see from the visual, she was not on the panel yet. She joined the panel after Kimmy left. She came right on up. I cannot help but wonder if Carlos asked Claudia not to join the conversation just in case she and Kimmy bump heads, because Claudia is very pro-woman. I am woman, hear me roar, lifting up other women. And Kimmy, just in my opinion, it just gives more pick-me energy. And I just think that those two would clash. And so to avoid that, I felt like he kept Claudia out of the commentary that involved Kimmy. And then once Kimmy was down, he brought Claudia back up. And that's when they began discussing Candy and Todd. And just really quickly, of course, Carlos ain't a total fool. He really didn't say much in terms of commentary. He let Claudia and Dustin talk about Candy and Todd. And basically, they were saying that Todd should not be entitled to the money that Candy made prior to meeting him, which would be the amazing songwriting and the bedroom candy. Now, the revenue generated from the businesses, they were saying that was pretty much fair game. My commentary, I'm like, I don't see nothing wrong with her paying his attorney's fees, giving him $1 million, and she pays the taxes on the $1 million. So he would literally net $1 million. I think that's totally fair. That's just my opinion, though. It ain't my money. But she's worth like a few dozen million. So that just in my opinion. I think Candy, she could totally afford that. But Carlos, when he spoke on Candy, he was saying that he was just so surprised over the number of women that were siding with Todd and pretty much dragging Candy. And Claudia said that that did not surprise her because there's so many pick-me's out there. And I do feel like generally not a lot of women stick together. Men stick together regardless of their actual orientation, race, age. I feel like men in general, they definitely stick together. With women, it's definitely an uphill battle, unfortunately. But for everything that Candy made prior to Todd, that's definitely hers. But Kimmy, I am just so surprised how she was holding Latrice from Belle Collective to task for not giving LaTeshia that information much sooner and in a much more respectful way, one-on-one, perhaps even without the cameras. But oh, Kimmy, that is just so interesting because I feel like while you're talking the talk, you have not walked the walk. What do you all think about what Kimmy had to say about Latrice and LaTeshia from Belle Collective? Do you think that it is reeking of a little hypocrisy? Or do you think that she could totally move differently in her friendships, but expect something more from others? Do you think that's fair? I thank you all so much for checking out this video. Please hit the like button on this video as well as subscribe to the channel. I hope that you all had a magnificent Monday. I hope that it was not a manic Monday for you. If it was a manic Monday, I am oh so sorry about that. But look, hopefully you will have a short work week and it's going to be a terrific Tuesday for you. Now, I'm already saying that I'm not going to make my overnight oats. I know that I should. Hopefully I will, but I do think I'm going to make another video. So that will be my focus right now. But it was a very busy Monday, a lot of work to do, but I powered through it, thank goodness. And then I pretty much told you my evening. I changed into my sweats. Then I went and got waxed and I got a pedicure and then I went to the gym. So I am proud of myself. I do feel good and now I'm making content, something else that I enjoy. But thank you again for your support. I appreciate it and I will talk with you all soon. Bye.